Right, thanks for staying with us. You've heard the news and, of course, sports. It's time to kick off this show right away with the headlines this morning. With us is a lecturer at the University of Lagos, Dr. Dan Ekere. Good morning. Good
Dr.
to see
Ekere,
you.
good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And
right.
compliments of the season?
Yeah, I wish you the same.
It's just 5 days
Thank
to
you.
Christmas
Yes.
now,
Yeah,
and
I hope your compliments will come with some chicken.
with some compliments.
Okay, that's another matter.
You know. Okay, let's begin with the Punch newspaper now. Drama protests as Buhari presents 8.83 trillion naira budget to National Assembly. Well, that was the big story yesterday, and some House of Rep members were about carrying placards when they were still expecting the president in, and there was going to be a protest in the House. But the leadership of the House was trying to calm them down and ensure that they don't embarrass the nation or embarrass the president. But what happened yesterday was basically what a lot of people called an embarrassment.
Yeah, thank you. I think so too. For me, I feel, it was a show of shame. I do not expect that we'll get to that level where people we hold in high esteem, that a lot of people should look onto, will begin to, behave in that manner. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the grudges are. It doesn't matter what the issues are. Yeah, and it has nothing to do with political parties. What was to happen yesterday was just budget presentation, and this is something ceremonial, more or less, because it's something we do from time to time.
Obviously, it's an indication that we've not been able to, separate or differentiate politics from
governance.
the seriousness of governance. It's like you said, a lot of people have been describing this as the new law, a new law for our democracy.
I'm telling you.
Okay,
All right, let's move on. 68 vehicles, 63 vehicles, 98 shops burned in Lagos fire. This was a lost situation in around Abulegba when this happened yesterday early in the morning.
Wow.
It's really sad.
So sad. But I think that people need to be a lot more careful this season, because don't forget that this is the
Harmattan season.
And
Fires can go wild.
Fire gets wild this season. So people need to be very careful about anything that has to do with flames, anything that is inflammable, anything that is capable of triggering a fire.
All right. While the president was reeling out some of his programs and successes and all of that, the NBS was also reeling out some of his statistics that has been delayed a little while. 20.9 million Nigerians are jobless, says the National Bureau of Statistics.
Wow, that's a very huge number.
That's about 10% of the population if we're at 200 million.
In fact, that would be more than 10% even.
Yeah, it's already more than 10%.
I think that's quite alarming, but I hope the figures are correct, because
could be more than that.
I think so.
Okay, well, Buhari orders probe as Jonathan ex-generals, PDP mourn, and for Christmas, federal government declares Tuesday, Wednesday public holidays.
Okay, to the nation, Buhari proposes 8.83 trillion naira budget for 2019 fiscal year. Of course, the atmosphere in which that budget proposal was, laid out seems to have taken the shine off the budget presentation. But we'll be breaking it down, later, so that Nigerians can understand exactly what the budget will look like. A new national minimum wage coming. No allocation for oil subsidy. President to unruly lawmakers, we're supposed to be above this.
That's correct.
This booing and cheering and all of that, really, we really should be above this already. Manhunt for Bade's killers. Driver is alive. Hopefully he'll be able to give investigators some kind of lead to what happened. Excess crude account down by $1.68 billion. We hear that the federal government has actually been withdrawing from the ECA.
Exactly.
I think there has to be a proper legislation to guard this excess crude account. The way it is being managed, it leaves a lot of room for fraud. I think it needed to be fully captured in, but again, whether captured or not, every fund that Nigeria generates is already provided for. So this argument about even the excess crude account being aside one thing or the other, for me, does not really make any sense. However, we need to be a lot more careful, because the culture of saving seems not to be you know, a very strong one here. And
yeah.
usually when we get to times of troubles, we run helter-skelter.
Shouldn't this be going into the sovereign wealth fund?
That is what I even
yeah.
expected. Instead of just calling it an excess crude account that you keep money that at the end of the day, we don't know what you do with it.
Use it for miscellaneous expenses. Access Bank eyes for $157 million. Of course, Access Bank has just taken over Diamond Bank, though in some cases it's been described as a merger.
As a merger.
We don't know exactly which one it is. Tiger Woods worth $800 million. Okay.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods is coming back.
I wish that would be of any benefit to us. But
well,
Okay,
it's of benefit to the sports world.
Maybe we should just take, you know, the import of his story. I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't matter how down you go. Sometimes
You can still
fall,
go up
you
so
can
high.
rise again.
indeed, that is what life is about.
Yes, and Tuesday, Wednesday, January 1, our work-free day. I can hear some people say hallelujah.
But not for you anyway.
You know now, our job, somebody said...
So don't celebrate because...
Somebody said our job is like the police job. You
Indeed,
never
it
really
is.
go on holiday.
Exactly.
Indeed,
Don't
you
go
walk
on
like the
holiday.
police. Yeah.
But the fun there is that everyone's sitting at home. This is time to even watch TV. This is time to listen to radio and all of
And
that.
you want to
So
keep it here on
you wanna
TVC.
keep it here, so.
Yeah.
You
All right,
will,
let's-
you will leave before the
let's move on
chicken
now.
is prepared. So maybe before you even return home, we would have finished
We
it.
would have finished it.
The New Telegraph is our next paper now. Drama protests as Buhari presents 8.8 trillion naira budget. APC PDP lawmakers boo chair president. And president, we're supposed to be above this. And federal government restores fuel subsidy, proposes 305 billion naira in 2019. All right. How assassins killed ex-CDS Bade, spared 4 soldiers. Farm manager abducted, driver hospitalized. Well, the driver being hospitalized, I guess, for security reasons. I guess there'll be more protection around him. Because he was there, so we guess that he'll be able to give account
Well, the New
of-
Telegraph is using the word assassins. It's yet to be ascertained exactly what... you know,
No, perhaps they have
why.
information.
Well, it's possible they
maybe
have
they do.
information.
Maybe
Whatever
they
it
do.
is,
We'll find out
the
with
sad
time.
incident took place and is really sad. Now, there's this troubling headline here. Yaba Psychiatric Hospital records more cases of mental disorder.
Is it a surprise?
What is surprising about
It's
that?
disturbing, that's what I said.
Okay, it's disturbing. Yes, it should be disturbing. But then, you see, the question of drug abuse and what have you has been on the increase. You know, so as we speak, you find children of 15, 16. And in fact, I'm even more worried about the rate at which young girls are going into this business of, taking of drugs.
It's not just young girls,
Yeah,
boys,
at least,
you know, in primary
see,
school, even
for the
primary
men,
school.
at least.
Obviously, it means these kids are getting exposed to pain, whatever their definition of pain is, you know, and they want to just numb themselves. And,
I
Well,
fear if it's
that's
all
the-
about
just get
pain.
high on nothing.
I'm telling
Okay,
you.
to the Daily Sun, 100 houses, 50 cars razed as explosion rocks Lagos community. Pipeline vandals wreak havoc. And as President lays 8.83 trillion naira budget, lawmakers disrupt Buhari's presentation. APC sacks ESCO in Ogun Imo to sanction Amosun Okorocha over anti-party activities. And outrage trails Bade, ex-CDS murder. Kebbi government persecutes the Sun reporter. That's their story there. And police uncover fake wine factory in Lagos.
Again?
Yes.
The other time it was a fake malt
Drink.
factory. Some people were just mixing some things, filling them into drums.
I
from there
actually
to
saw a
bottles.
video this morning that was posted. Don't give your children or grandchildren this. A popular, drink, packaged drink for kids that your parents actually put in the lunch boxes
For
of their
children going to school.
Yes.
Well, I hope after the show you will tell me what it is so that I don't
And even more troubling was the just a few days ago, earlier in the week, there was this factory that makes drugs. You know,
Fake
packaged
drugs,
fake
yes.
drugs, packaged drugs,
all
and all
manner
of
of
that.
things are really happening.
It's
And,
really sad.
You know, and that is why sometimes you think you are treating an ailment, not knowing
just
you are
never
just
goes.
applying ordinary things that
You're complicating
Yes.
It's worse than placebo.
I'm telling you.
Okay,
Vanguard is
to
our next paper now. Subsidy on as Buhari presents 8.8 trillion naira budget and tagged budget of continuity. 305 naira being set aside for billion naira rather being set aside for under-recovery for PMS. All right, we have a breakdown of all the revenue for different sectors, their allocation in the budget. Anguish as fuel fire raises 100 houses, shops, 50 cars in Lagos. That's in the Bulegba area. And Buhari, Jonathan, Atiku, Okowa, Jibrila, others condemn murder of Alex Bade. Unemployed Nigerians now 20.9 million, up from 17.6 million. The National Bureau of Statistics is revealing that. Well, those are some of the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper.
And to the Daily Trust, how gunmen killed Alex Bade, ex-defense chief. Of course, President Buhari has directed security agencies to fish out his killers. Buhari presents 8.8 trillion naira budget, 20.9 million naira Nigerians. I think I have naira.
No, it's not
going
strange.
on in my head.
You know, they say across the Niger is all about money. So.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
yeah,
Always thinking about money in my part. Okay, 20.9 million Nigerians are unemployed. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. 2019 polls, council tasks stakeholders on peace. Of course, INEC has been expressing fears and concerns about security situation around the 2019 polls, and hopefully, since they've been empowered to, by law,
yes,
to do all it takes
and financial provision as well. Because
exactly.
all of
that has been guaranteed.
Was factored into it, so I hope that they should be able to live up to expectations.
Hopefully. Protest over Oshomale's sack of Imo Ogun APC excos. All right, that's it from the Daily Trust.
You do have your Mr. and Mrs. today?
No, Mr. and Mrs.
Well, besides, it's not a Friday
Mike
yet.
Mike has
so
it, but, he just chooses.
It's not a Friday yet. All right, Dr. Danekere, thank you for coming. But we'll be keeping you for the next discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Still ahead on the breakfast program.
A recap of our headlines. Yesterday, President Muhammadu Buhari presented the 2019 budget proposal to a joint session of the National Assembly amidst jeers and cheers. We'll be reviewing his presentation as well as the figures contained in the proposed budget.
And in 58 days, Nigerians will troop to the polls to elect candidates that will lead them for the next 4 years. But security threats to successful polls still exist. What can be done to mitigate these concerns? All right, let's begin right away. President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday presented the 2019 Fiscal Appropriation Bill before a joint session of the National Assembly. But the president's budget presentation was occasionally interrupted by federal lawmakers of the People's Democratic Party. Well, as they jeered with placards, legislators of the APC, the All Progressives Congress, cheered on Mr. President.
President Muhammadu Buhari was slated to address the legislators by 11 a.m., but this was not to be, as the lawmakers went into a closed-door session at that time. The aim of the meeting was to placate PDP members after news leaked that they had perfected their plans to register their displeasure with the administration. The secret meeting, which held for more than 30 minutes, apparently had no effect, as PDP members welcomed the president with this protest song. This degenerated into a fight among the lawmakers. In what was a departure from the tradition of the National Assembly, Senate President Bukola Saraki failed to give an opening remark. The president's presentation was marred by cheers and jeers, so much so that Mr. President had this to say.
May I appeal to the honorable members that the world is watching us, and we are supposed to be above this.
Some of the lawmakers expressed their views about the ugly incident.
Democracy in action, but it's very unfortunate the way democracy played out today. I'm saying this as a parliamentarian to the core.
In every democracy and in every society, there is unpatriotic citizens. Those members that PDP members that are shouting, they are unpatriotic citizens. 2018 has not been implemented. Why are we even talking of 2019 budget?
It was just opposition politics at play, and it happens everywhere in the world. I mean, we all witness when the President of the United States, anytime he gives his State of the Nation address, you see what opposition does. They refuse to clap. Sometimes they boo.
Well, they really shouldn't talk because they shouldn't be sitting on those seats because they now belong to minority parties. When I was in the minority party, I was a minority leader. I wasn't the Senate president. So I would expect that what has happened today should be a wake-up call for the Speaker and the Senate president to resign peacefully.
This is a year of election. And people have just finished nominations, and most of them has lost nomination in their parties. Most of them are not sure of winning the elections. And there is another presidential candidate of the PDP. So everything in war they think is fair. They have taken it to the chamber of the National Assembly, which has never been. But it's okay. As democracy progresses, you'll be seeing new aspects of campaign.
The aggrieved lawmakers will not allow Speaker Yakubu Dogara give his usual vote of thanks.
Okay, well, Dr. Dan Akere is still very much with us in the studio here. How hallowed is the hallowed chamber is the question this morning with this kind of conduct, which, one of the lawmakers said has never happened. But, well, it's democracy in action. Is that the kind of action we expect to see in our democracy?
Democracy is not about inanity. It's not about, misbehavior. People always say, well, this is democracy in action. Stupidity is not democracy. Misbehavior is not democracy.
Apologies to Fela, who actually said...
a demonstration of craze, So if that is what we see as democracy, I think it's a wrong understanding of democracy. I expect that democracy should have greater regard for, freedom, for liberty, for rights, and the rest of it. So I don't expect this kind of show of shame. In any case, I have no quarrel with anybody bowing or anything to any individual. But in this particular regard, we are not talking about General Muhammadu Buhari. We are talking about President Muhammadu Buhari. Exactly. So it's not about Muhammadu Buhari as an individual. It's about the office. It's about the seat. So that is the highest office in the land. And it deserves a lot of respect, irrespective of what political divide you belong.
And whoever is occupying it.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if the occupant is a cripple, so be it. For as long as he's on that seat, he's our president.
So one could say that it is not Muhammadu Buhari that's been jeered at. It is actually Nigeria that is being...
That is what it represents, because the man is only first among equals so far. He is a Nigerian, but occupying an office that we have, given to him to occupy, to oversee affairs of the country. So when you do this, if it is just the kind of intrigues in the National Assembly over allocation of what and all of that within themselves, that could be understood. But to the extent of reducing that office, where they ended up reducing themselves, they ended up showing that, they don't have what it takes to be where they are.
But how also justifiable when the special advisor to the president on National Assembly matters, Senator Itai Nang was saying that it is coming from aggrieved members who couldn't get tickets, who couldn't get slots from their political parties one way or the other. I wonder how justifiable that will be.
No, I don't think it's even about justifiability. Itai couldn't pinpoint any particular person. He's only assumed he's trying to just proffer, some kind of explanation that could be, responsible for it. You have such a situation in which some members will not be returning. Some lost, primaries in their tickets. So could that be a function of, okay, the grievances they are trying to ventilate and all of that? That is just an expression of presuppositions. That is not, for now, factual. It could be that even those who are returning are the ones who are doing this. So it's not a question of, but you expect that China will always look for a solution or an explanation for such things. So, but for me, irrespective of who is involved, I am not particularly a fan of, President Muhammadu Buhari. But I do not think this is the right thing to do.
All right, since 2000, analysts said, from at least we've listened to several of them, who said that this has never happened since 1999, as the case may be.
Yeah, truly. I'm not sure we've had this. I'm not sure.
While
Exactly.
while the president
is in
laying
the Halo
the
chamber
bill.
presenting.
And we have gotten about almost 20 years into democracy now,
Close to,
where
yes.
we were beginning to see some gains of the democracy we practice as it is, especially from conduct of election, marginal improvements here and there.
Yes.
And one would expect that the National Assembly has come of age to a great extent.
Yes, to a large extent, yes. Over time, they have shown that, maturity. But it is easier for a wise man to be foolish than for a foolish man to be wise. So
I think you need to say that.
Yeah, so let it not be too surprising that it is happening. But I'm only saying that it is not the right thing to do.
Yes.
I expected something better than this from the legislators, considering the fact that they are not just there on their own. They are there in the interest of, Nigerians. And the person who has come to present this budget is one of such persons as well, who occupies the #1 seat of the land. And I expect that we should look beyond the person. We should look at the office. We should look at the image of the country, how the international, community will equally, perceive of this country with respect to this kind of attitude.
Speaking of which, how would you even assess the president's, response, his demeanor in the whole? I mean, with this kind of atmosphere going on, he seems not to have lost it. Is it a function of his age or his military background? Or what do you think, stood him in good stead? Because all he said, his comportment was quite impressive.
What I can see from that, I do not think military background has anything to do with it. If anything, military background would have even jeopardized it, But this is somebody who knows what he has come there to do.
And he just
focus on it. And perhaps he never anticipated this kind of, response. So he was just himself. There are times some things will happen, that could be shocking. And yet, you remain yourself. So I think that was what has happened, because he understands what he has come to do and equally recognizes the office he occupies. He cannot afford to degenerate along that line.
Or lose his head.
That would have been worse. So thank God he didn't do that, but I hope that this kind of show of shame does not repeat itself, because it doesn't all go well.
What does this mean, going forward? I mean, is this an indication that we have retrogressed more or less in our, in our democracy?
Well, in a way, you begin to see this is more or less of politics.
Because the legislature is the heart of our democracy.
Indeed.
And if this is happening...
In fact, if there is anything that defines democracy of the modern trend, is the legislature. I'm talking about representative democracy, is the legislature. More than even the office of the president. Because this is the body that represents all constituencies in the country. And I expected, that they should even be the one, to show the way, rather than, be the ones to, set this kind of shameful standard. But going forward, I want to believe that if anybody had thought that this kind of attitude will, in a way, reduce the political, perhaps scorecard of anybody, then it is such a person who is even, addressing or, try to punish himself by way of showing that you don't have what it takes, For me, if there is a way you want to prove to the president that there's something wrong, it's about pinpointing those faults.
In a dignified,
very dignified manner. Yeah, there is a way that the presentation will come, and if you have issues with it, you raise those issues. And if the issues are salient, then it is there the president will be embarrassed.
It turned out that the speaker and, this was a joint,
the Senate president,
and the Senate president were not able to make their speeches, and the president himself had to be whisked away.
And to the point that the president has to tell them that, look, you ought to be more than this before they will know that they are more than that. I mean, what kind of childish...
All right, now, Senator Godswill Akpabio was directing his statement at the leadership of the Senate, saying that, in fact, they ought to resign from whatever happened. Now, you saw how they tried, the chairman and vice chairman of the National Assembly, the speaker and the Senate president and the speaker were trying to ensure that they keep everything contained, but they couldn't, as the case may be. How does this, what signal or vibe does this send to the people when it comes to the control they have over their members?
Well, thank you. I do not think that this has anything to do with whether the leadership is in firm control or not. You see, even if you chain me today, it does not, take away my ability to air my views. So if you choose to chain my hands and I say, oh, you are stupid, I still have made the statement. So I could as well boo anybody, no matter what it is. You see, but it's a function of the kind of interplay that is going on in the National Assembly. This division as if PDP represents a different country and the APC represents a different country. We must understand that when we talk about the government, it's not about the executive. It's about the totality of governance.
How do we restore the values of the legislature? Will it start from the voter who will ensure that the kind of person that should be representing them in the hallowed chambers is a person that gets the vote?
Yeah, but in a sense, they have not manifested this over time. So this one has just happened. What is the guarantee that the one that will come does not have this kind of a thing in stock to exhibit one day? So it's a function of the atmosphere at that moment and the ability to take control over such a situation. And I do not think this will in any way determine who comes back or not, because already candidates have been picked. So those who will vote for who, even as we speak, it is difficult to tell who actually was doing what.
Whether it was opposition.
Are you getting it? So all these allegations of it is this, is that, until you are able to tell us that it was Itaenang who made this noise or who made the booing or cheering and the rest, then before we can actually tell that it is so and so.
Dr. Danekere, we have to leave you here now. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you
The
very
pleasure
much.
is always mine.